Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Faculty Spotlight here at RAM Radio. And we've got a very special guest today, not actually faculty, but staff, but still extremely important to our success here as faculty and students and staff here at Angelo State University. So I'm going to let her introduce herself. Tell us who you are.
Zazu Abraham.
I didn't want to get it wrong. I knew Zazu. I wanted to make sure I got it right. And Zazu, tell us what you do here.
I'm the coordinator for Student Disability Services. Our department is housed in the Office of the Dean of Students alongside with CARES, Student Conduct, and the Dean. So I meet with any student that self-identifies their need for accommodations, very interactive process. So I help recommend and approve accommodations for the students that need them, that can range from classroom accommodations to temporary to housing accommodations.
Yeah, and that's a very important job, and we're going to talk about a lot of that. But first, let's get to know Zazu.
Okay.
How'd you end up at Angelo State University?
Well, I'm from Eagle Pass, Texas.
Okay.
It's a border town. Some people know where it is. I applied to several universities. I was interested in the science biology program.
Okay.
I was originally pre-med at some point. I finished my biology degree. So I had a lot of people recommend Angelo State. Kind of last minute I applied and got in, and I visited ASU during orientation, and I kind of fell in love with it. And here I am.
It's a unique town, isn't it?
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
San Angelo itself's just different.
Not too big, not too small.
Yes. I mean, what do they say? The population is like, what, 96,000, something like that?
I think so, and everything's like 12 minutes.
Yeah, I can get anywhere.
So nice.
You know, I'm like, oh, man, that's a long way. Oh, 8 minutes? Oh, yeah, let's go, you know.
Yeah.
Because I don't get anywhere without GPS.
Yeah.
So what is, so first of all, when did you come to ASU? When did you start here?
2011.
Okay. So you've been here a little while, about almost 15 years coming up.
Yes, I've stayed in San Angelo, finished my bachelor's, took a break, and around pandemic times, I was like, let me apply and do a master's. So I got a master's in higher education.
Okay.
And then shortly after I was done, I applied, and here I am.
I kind of did the same thing. I started my master's around the pandemic time, and a little bit different. I was teaching in Snyder at the time, but yeah, that's really cool. And so, with San Angelo, people stay here for a reason, and everybody's reason is different. What was it you loved most about San Angelo that could keep you here?
I think it's familiar. I like the big city vibe, the small town feel, and I loved ASU, and it was my dream to work here, so I was persistent, and I finished my master's, and I guess that's it.
I mean, it's a great college to work for, isn't it? I mean, we were just at the lunch where we celebrated 10 years of someone being one of the top colleges in the country to work for, and how amazing is that?
It is very supportive campus. I always felt very included and supported, and had a lot of mentors during my undergrad that kind of helped me figure out my way. Yeah. And so part of why I wanted to come back to ASU was to give back some of that, although it's a little different. We've grown a lot. There's a lot more resources for the students. So that's really awesome to see after so many years. That is
really, I love that you mentioned giving back, because some alumni don't really worry about that, you know, and some do, you know, like I give back to my university where I graduated with my master's, and I have my ways that I give back with them, and it's a really cool thing that I get to do when I'm able to do that. So so that's really cool that you mentioned that, and I really love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Now, in your career field, I imagine there's a little bit of difficulty keeping up with all the different changes that are constantly occurring, because our world's constantly changing.
It is.
You know, and so I know that diagnosis constantly change and education changes, so the accommodations for these diagnoses can change. How do you keep up with all that?
Well, I have a lot of coaching and mentoring that goes on in my office. I work in a very nurturing office, very supportive. With the help of Dr. Swafford. She's the director of student disability
I've seen that name a few times.
Yes. she's helping me learn a lot along with
Yeah.
her students. I started working here just last December, so my 1 year
You're
anniversary
coming
is
up.
going to come up.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was an RA at ASU. I worked as an undergrad as an RA with UCPC. So I'm still learning to adapt to the change. I do
Sure.
know that in our department, or Student Disability Services, back in 2011 to 2012, there were about 50 students, 50 student applications with accommodations. Now
Sure.
there's over like 900.
Wow.
That's
That's big. That's major.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So just keeping up with all that. Each case is very very unique in its own way.
Sure.
So that's kind of a little challenging, but again, I have a great team, and it's kind of fun to be able to get creative to figure out ways to help the students, making sure they get what they need. And sometimes we learn a lot from the students that I meet with.
Yeah.
And that things that we do that perhaps we've never done before, we figure that out, and it carries on to other students. We apply it to other students. So that's really cool.
Now, I mentioned off air that one of the things we work on is making sure we're giving back to the population of our student body and our faculties here at RAM Radio. And so I feel like, for the students that are out there that may watch this and not know, how is it different applying for services at the university level than it is, say, at the high school level? Because at the high school level, you have the ARD meeting, you have the team that meets around the student, and the faculty go and say, okay, this is what I think would benefit the student in my class. And sometimes if the student doesn't want to go to the meeting, they get what they get.
Right.
And I always thought that was kind of not necessarily wrong, but kind of weird that a student would have the option to not be a part of that meeting. How is it different here?
Yes. So, I mean, in high school, like you said, the teacher is able to say, hey, they might need accommodations, or there's something that's not, I don't want to say not normal, but, they may need help.
They need help, yeah.
And so, there's a 504, the IEP,
Right.
all of that. The difference is here in college, although, we do accommodations, we have to make sure that the accommodations do not change the learning outcome of the course. And
Sure.
I am very transparent about that with the student. That's what makes it so interactive, and coordinating with the professors, letting the student know, and, back and forth conversations. The student does have to self-identify and come to the meeting and submit, medical documentation that supports their diagnoses. So, the best we can do is kind of promote that as best as we can, and like big events or tabling events.
Sure.
And things like this now.
Yeah, well, and like I didn't know that there was the self-identifier component, right? Because I have a child who may one day need to get accommodations in college, but I've never had a child before that had to have those accommodations, right? And so as a parent, I'm thinking, well, she had accommodations in high school. We'll just bring her IEP up there, and it's no big deal. But that's not exactly how it works. But could that be a place to start, though?
Yes, we do accept 504 IEP plans. We do accept those because they contain the diagnoses.
Right.
So we do accept that paperwork. So I guess it's a little bit easier in a way because you've already been tested in high school.
Right.
You don't have to go
The
through
work's
all
been
of
done
that.
for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So as long as we have the diagnoses, a signature, that part of the things, and then a meeting with me. I'm the one that does most of the meetings, but sometimes I got super busy this fall, so we all had to pitch in a little bit.
900 of them. That's
yes.
Woo.
We also deal with dual credit students.
Oh, wow.
From high schools here in San Angelo as well. But yeah, during orientation, I saw a lot of parents that were, asking questions, and sometimes at the beginning of the fall they come in with their kids. And,
Sure.
But ultimately, it's up to the student. After the first time, it's up to them to renew.
Yeah, so is that, and I'm just curious, I'm thinking off the top of my head, is that because of the FERPA laws that are out there and stuff like that the students have to self-identify and all those things?
Right. We're not able to ask them or
Yeah.
any professor,
Right.
hey, do you need
Right.
accommodations? Did you have accommodations? So yeah, it's self-identifying their need for accommodations.
Yeah, and in high school, they would send us a thing and go, do you think the student needs help? Well, it might benefit from it.
Right.
And, we'll have a meeting. Oh,
Yeah.
I opened my mouth, now I got to go to another meeting,
Oh, no.
But sometimes it felt that way because you'd end up in like 5, 6, 7 meetings a week, and you're like, I don't get a break this week because I'm in all these meetings. And,
Yeah.
But you do what you have to do for your students.
Right.
I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. You do what you have to do for your students. So what do you feel like for you is the most fun part of your job? I know we don't think of jobs as fun, right?
No, I love my job. I love it. No, I'm just kidding. I really do.
She goes, I love it. I'm kidding. Whoa, hold on.
I think my favorite part is kind of keeps me on my toes, the position I have. It's never a typical day.
Okay.
Every day is very different.
Of course, we ruined the flow of your day-to-day and brought you over here.
No, I was so nervous, but I'm okay now. No, but it's always something different every day, and I kind of like the challenge of sometimes students ask for things that have never been done before, and then that requires conversations within the office and outside sources, and then we ultimately, it's bouncing ideas back and forth. Well, if we do this, this happens, but if we do this, this way. So just a part of being able to get creative and thinking outside the box.
Yeah, and I imagine that some of those things that come up, you're just like, okay, now I got to think for a minute. Hold on.
Yes. Now, let me get back to you.
On the opposite side of that spectrum, what is one of the toughest parts of your job, you feel like?
I feel one of the toughest things for me is getting the student to understand the importance of self-advocacy, because it's important to communicate the needs or their needs not only to our office but just in general to their professors or whoever they're dealing with, because I think it's especially for individuals with I like to say different abilities,
right?
And it's a skill that they're going to carry on beyond college and potentially use in the workforce. So
absolutely.
We can approve accommodations, send out the letters, but I say that in my meetings too. Like, you have to let them know and have conversations with your professor, not necessarily letting them know your diagnoses, but around it and what you need.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I always found interesting was, I've been here a year and a half now. I'm coming up my 18-month point. And I didn't know I didn't understand yet. I was learning, because I came from the high school environment where we had to do ARDS and all those things. Well, I get here, and I didn't understand how accommodations worked here. And then I get my first letter that has Dr. Swafford's name on it, I remember, and I'm like, I read through it, and I'm like, weird. And it ends up, a lot of the accommodations are typically a lot of the same stuff I had to accommodate in high school, And I feel so blessed to be where we're at, because the classes I teach, those accommodations really end up not mattering in my class, just because the students don't ever have problems.
Right. Make it accessible enough.
Yes, and I've always been that way with my classes, because while I know that if I do something for one student, I don't have to do it for all. I tend to try to stay equal across the board as much as I can, and so. But learning that, but I ended up having a couple students where I had to make the adjustment that I didn't understand. And I remember calling over to the office, and they explained it to me, and I was like, oh. And it ended up actually being really
we
really
like that.
easy.
We like when you guys call.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up being real easy, and it was like something I remember getting off the phone on one of them, and I went, why didn't I think of that? Like, why did I make that phone call?
It takes a team.
Yeah. But, sometimes you don't think about those things.
Right.
And do you ever have those moments with professors that are just like, I just don't get it?
Yes.
How do you handle that? Because that's got to be tough. Because you're trying to advocate for, with a profession, you're trying to advocate to a professional for a student to be able to learn. And that's really what it boils down to, right? So how do you handle those tough cases like that?
I mean, it all starts from the meeting with the student and kind of getting as much information as I can. What are your struggles?
Yeah.
Why do you need this? And just having that conversation with the professor, explaining why the student needs what they need without saying, again,
without violating HIPAA.
Right.
Yeah.
But going around that, and most of the times, and when you give them the why, they tend to kind of understand, or if you explain why, and we've thought of this, brainstormed this. But my boss has made a really good job about having that good relationship with the professor, where they're not afraid to ask questions and kind of brainstorm with us. And sometimes we're all, on speaker together.
Sure.
And
Sure.
So, I think it's all good at the end.
Works.
How do you feel?
Well, no, and like for me, it was it wasn't really a big learning curve when I came here, but there was a little bit because I didn't know how accommodations worked in college.
Right.
Right. And I've taught college online, and the accommodations were automatic in there. There was nothing I could do to change them in the courses I taught. So if a student had like extra time, it would be like 2 weeks. Well, they would set the assignments up for me so that the assignments weren't due for that student until 2 weeks. So when I'd go through grading, I'd go through and I'd see an empty assignment, but it wasn't late because they were in their grace window, right? And so I didn't have to worry about it. So when I came here to teaching in person, it was a little different, and I didn't know, right? And so when I started getting that first letter or two, and I'm reading through them, because I'm like anyone else. I see something I don't know, I'm gonna, okay, is this real or? Because you don't know.
Right.
And so you start reading it and you're like, oh, okay, I know what this is. And sometimes the list just seems so long. Like sometimes it just seems like there's so much there. And then I'm having to go through and going, okay, I'm not going to have to worry about that because I don't do that. And I don't do the, and then you get to that one thing where you're like, I got to worry about that. I got to worry about this. Right. And you don't want to go you can't call the student out in class about it. Right. And then I've been blessed. Like I said, I've been very blessed because every time I've had that situation, the students come to my office hours and said, "Hey, did you get my accommodation letter?"
Yes.
Yes, I did. Would you like to talk about it? And they usually will.
And that's what we want. That's why I let them know. And it's okay if professors reach out to the student, again, in the office or away from the classroom. And that's, again, the conversation I have with the students when I meet with them. Like, when we send out the letters, let your professors know, hey, did you get my letters? I have this as an accommodation.
Right.
How do you want to do this? Work out the details. It's up to the professor and the student.
Right.
But yeah, we're always there for any questions.
So let me ask this, and I think you can answer this. It's not giving anything away.
Okay.
What is probably the most common accommodation you see that helps the students the most? That they may not even realize that they can get that accommodation to help them.
The most common one is extra time on exams. And I mean, that helps, most students.
Yeah.
Recently, no, that's not your question, but recently.
No, hey, chase the rabbit. Let's go.
We had a student, they needed speech to text.
Oh.
And that helped them.
That's different. I'm used to text to speech.
Right, speech to text, that helped them immensely, and they were very excited that they were able to do that for exams or quizzes.
Wow.
And so it's very rewarding when the student comes back or when we check in and they're like, yeah, it made all the difference in the world, like thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's little things that you don't think about because you're able to, and it makes like the world of a difference to someone else. So
is it safe to say that a lot of times in your job you have those unseen moments that are very rewarding when you finally see the fruition of your work?
Yes, it is. It is, especially I try and check in with students as much as I can. And even when I get that email like, yes, everything's going great, or I'm even happy to see when they stop by the office, or if they respond and say, can I meet with you? I want to make some adjustments, because they're able to make adjustments.
Sure.
You don't have to stay with the same accommodations. So all of that, and my working with my team, yes, it all makes it very, very meaningful. My job a lot more meaningful.
Okay, now we're gonna get some hard questions here.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
When you're away from work, what are you doing?
I'm watching Netflix.
Oh my goodness.
Or reading.
You're supposed to say I'm listening to the radio. We're a radio station. No, I'm kidding. There you go, folks. She's listening to Ram Radio. There it is. So what are you binging right now?
Currently, I'm not binging anything.
Everybody's binging something.
Not right now.
Oh, Too busy?
I'm trying to find something. I haven't found something that caught my eye. I do like crime documentaries.
Okay, so hold on now. Hold on. Now, when you say Netflix, do you mean Netflix only or just streaming services?
Netflix.
Really?
Right.
That's like the one I don't use.
Really?
Yeah, it's like $25 a month. It's expensive.
No. It's worth it if you don't have cable.
Touche. I don't have cable.
Yeah.
But I have everything else. Like,
yeah, well, I have Hulu, Disney Plus,
okay.
you know, all the...
You're not binging something somewhere?
No, I started watching Christmas movies. Oh, no.
Who set this interview up? Where's she at? Christmas movies? It's not even Turkey Day yet.
But they it's like Christmas movies that contain Thanksgiving and then transitioning into Christmas. So it counts.
I guess.
Yeah.
We'll let it slide. You got your Christmas tree up now already, don't you?
I don't, actually.
Is it this weekend going up?
No. I'll wait.
How long will you wait to put your Christmas tree up?
I'll wait after Thanksgiving to be respectful.
Okay, you know what? Yes. You're forgiven. Okay, I'm okay with that. Growing up, my mom, her birthday's December 10th, and so that's when we would put the tree up, is on her birthday every year. So that's kind of, it's not, I don't feel this way because I hate Christmas before Thanksgiving. I actually love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. But I was always used to, we put the Christmas tree up on December 10th.
Yes, tradition.
You know? Yeah. Speaking of traditions, do you have any traditions for like Thanksgiving with your family or for Christmas?
Not necessarily. Maybe for Christmas, my grandma and grandpa used to make tamales every Christmas.
So where can I go to have those?
Eagle Pass. I'm not sure.
That might be a little bit of a long trip.
It's changed a lot. You know, you grow up and your cousins grow up, and it just gets a little different. So,
I agree.
But in Eagle Pass, there is this like park where they put up a bunch of lights, cover the trees up, and so I guess that's one of the traditions to stop by and think. There's one night during December where they just show movies, Christmas movies.
Oh wow!
They give hot chocolate and
I love
cozy
that.
Food. So
I love that. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I mean, I've never been to Eagle Pass. I don't know anything about it. I'm learning now. We might have to go down and check that out.
Yeah.
How far is Eagle Pass from here? I don't know.
Like about 3.5 hours.
Okay, so maybe we won't go down there and check that out.
Yeah,
that's a little bit long.
It's okay.
But that's really cool. You know, so like my family, our thing was a lot of families have that whole tradition on Christmas Eve. We're going to open one gift. Did you ever do that?
We open all the gifts on Christmas Eve.
What? Mm-hmm. Man, you're lucky.
And then Santa Claus, the 25th.
Brings new ones?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
How'd you get so... I never got that.
We all sit around the tree. You know, our family members have like trash bags full of gifts.
Me and Mom and Dad are going to have a talk. We're going to have a talk, Mom and Dad.
I know. Some people do it on the 25th, huh?
I know, right? That's what they made me wait. My parents were mean. No, but... We're having way too much fun here, Zazu. Come on. So, our tradition in my family was on Christmas Eve, you opened a new pair of pajamas.
Oh, nice.
And that's what you wore to bed, was your new pajamas. And so we've started doing that with my kids. And
matching pajamas?
Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes. Sometimes my mom would do that. Like, I remember one year when, now, hold on. So by the time you came to college, I was getting out of my military career. So I am significantly older. Let's just leave it at that. We don't need to discuss numbers. But growing up, you know, the big toys, and it was me and my brother, were like He-Man and Transformers and things like that. So one year when Transformers was real big, my mom and dad got us, me and my brother, they weren't matching, but they were Transformer themed pajamas, you know. And then as I got older into high school, she would get me like the plaid pajamas that were real warm and comfortable. And
Yes.
I remember my senior year, I got a robe, and it was my first robe that I had. No, oh man, let me tell you something. I thought I was the king of the world with a brand new robe.
Your hot chocolate.
Oh man, oh man, I thought I was just it, and so, sometimes my wife will ask me, "What do you want? What do you want for your pajamas?" I'm like, "I need a new robe." 'Cause
I feel like the pajamas were a trick to get pictures in the morning. Just be matching.
Wow,
Let's make it look Christmassy with this.
I never thought of that. Yeah. And my mom every year would have that new 35 millimeter camera out because we didn't have phones.
Yeah.
See, I'm old. I told you.
No.
No, but I heard a saying. I'm not fond of traditions that are brand new, and so I've always liked to bring traditions that I grew up with into my family
really
and stuff
nice.
like that. And so yeah, the fact that you can talk about things back home, and that's really cool. I really like that. So, okay, we're at about 4 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is I told you this question was coming. We are a radio station.
Oh.
Okay. And I asked this question the same way, even though I know. What's on your iPod? What are you listening to? Who's in your ear?
Who's in my ear? I can't. You put me on the spotlight.
Well, I mean,
literally.
Imagine that. Faculty spotlight, and I put her on the spotlight.
Halsey, country music.
Ooh.
Billie Eilish.
You realize the vast difference there.
Avril Lavigne.
Hold on now. Okay, now I like some Avril Lavigne.
Yes.
I can dig the country and some Avril Lavigne. I'm not a big Halsey fan.
I like her older music.
I like the song she did with Chainsmokers. That was a good song. That was about it for me personally. But you said someone else. You said Avril Lavigne, country, and something else.
Billie Eilish.
Oh, yeah. I really don't know her stuff.
No.
Is it any good?
Like some of it. That's all I can think of. It's the names I came up with. Braxton Keith.
One of my producers like, yeah, some of it. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Country-wise, what are you listening to then? I like country. I know country. Well, I don't know this new stuff, but
Cody Johnson.
Okay, now I like Cody Johnson. Yeah, he's got
Randy
some good
Rogers.
stuff. I do not know that name.
George Strait.
Oh, the King. Come on.
Some country is nice, especially in the winter. It starts getting cold.
You a concert person? You like to go to concerts and stuff like that?
I do. Well, I've been to 2 big ones.
Who were they?
It was Kid Cudi and Bad Bunny.
Those are new generation concerts right there.
Yeah, they were very different.
Yeah, I bet.
Very, very different.
Very different than country.
Yes. I was invited. I was like, I've never been. Let's go.
Well,
sure.
Hey, free ticket. I don't mind. Wait, did you have to pay?
No.
Oh, yeah, no, I'd have gone too.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't like it, free concert. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, sure, why not? What is your all-time favorite? Man, I cannot think of words today. What is your favorite genre of music? If someone said you can only listen to one genre of music now for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Maybe country.
Really? Well, you're from Eagle Pass, and that's out in the country.
I wasn't country until I moved to San Angelo. I hated it, and I heard it so much, and I warmed up to it, and now I like it.
Yeah, I was kind of the same way. My grandfather always listened to it, and I was like, and then I grew up and went, this isn't so bad.
Yeah.
This isn't so bad. Any favorite country artists if you could only listen to one?
Maybe Cody Johnson.
Okay. Now, this is the hardest question coming up. We're going to get ready to close because we're in less than a minute. So you got to be quick.
Okay.
Or not too quick, but what song is your anthem?
What song is my anthem? I can't think. AC Alma Mater.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Kidding.
Well, you work for them. I mean, why not? I get it.
I can't think of a song right now.
Okay, that's fair. If you ever come back,
okay,
got to have an anthem.
I'll be back.
All right. Hey, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of Faculty Spotlight. Ms. Zazu Abraham, if you have questions and you need help, or if you're a student and you're struggling, go and see her. I'm sure there's something she can do. Just go see them. And where are you again? The Office of the Dean.
Office of the Dean of Students, UC 112.
There you go. Go down and see her, see what she can do, see if she can help you out. And folks, until next week, we'll be back, same Ram time, same Ram channel, right here. Until then, stay safe, Rams.